Ugh. Ah! Alright. Alright, well, fuck. Well, hello, this is me from the future, just letting you know, after going through about 3 hours of tutorial footage and looking through it all and being like, oh, this looks okay, I'm not happy, but, you know, we can string it together. It looked like all of the footage was bad because of some weird audio bug, maybe with the capture card, where it was constantly blasting static through on the recording end, but it wasn't in my ears, so that's really cool. So if I seem a little bit, little unenthusiastic, that might be why, but I'm trying to get this out for you guys. I will try to make it my best, and I will try to get a decent hunt for you. Most importantly, though, hope you're having a good day, and thank you very much for watching, and we'll start this off. Well, here we are. Welcome back, guys. First off, hope you're having a good day, even though I say that in the intro. Second off, though, this guide is just from my perspective. I can help you with some basics in my understanding of the lands, but again, I'm not at the end game, but you guys seem to enjoy it, and I got asked a couple of times about, a little bit of help. And I was asked about gear as well, but unfortunately, without seeing everything, and I haven't spoiled the game, I can't theory craft on what's good or not, but I'll talk about that towards the end as well. What we're gonna focus on this part of the tutorial is I'm gonna break it down, offense and defense. They kind of meld because it's a lance, but we will get it started with the offensive bit. Please God, don't let this video corrupt. Alright. So, first off, I've only got 2 switch skills, and we're gonna use the basics because we're gonna come at it like a first beginner thing. The lance has a couple of different ways to initiate. Now, if you haven't used your wire bug, like I mentioned at the first video, if you press guard with X and A, you will go into a dash attack. This dash attack is really good for getting you around the map. My stamina, as you see, I haven't eaten anything yet, and look how long we can do this for, right? You can turn by pressing back and B. So don't be afraid to use that. It's great for chasing monsters around. The second thing we're going to talk about is the rule of threes. Lances generally operate in a rule of 3, and so you can get like 3 hits, 3 dodges, but again, this part, we're going to talk about the offense. So, with the charge attack that I showed you, you have a couple of options. Let's get it built up. Once you are moving in the fast mode that you see there, you'll get like a little double hit with your lance, so you'll go bam, bam, like that. Which I think I misunderstood because that may be better than the other one. Granted, it's a longer setup, so the base damage, if you're not using this charge and you don't have it, is, that's still pretty damn good. But that's the damage on the charge for me so far. Now, if you some reason overshoot the monster, if you hit back and X, you'll do that little sweep. That's pretty useful. So like, let's say I'm trying to get to this wire bug and it moves, I'm like, oh no, right? Like if that was there, then we would have hit it. Doesn't make sense to use the wire bug when he's right there, but that's what I thought of, and that's what I did. All right, let's go back into that rule of threes. So as you can see, if I go poke, 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 there's a pause. Poke, poke, poke. Generally with the lance, there isn't a lot of combos, but what you do have is movement. That's the big thing. So the complexity isn't really within the kit of the swinging. It's kind of like a greatsword in that aspect. It's more of the knowledge of the weapon. Greatsword, I would say, requires more knowledge on the monster. Lance, you can be a little bit safer. But Lance gives you a lot of movement, which people wouldn't realize based on how you move like this. But anyway, so you got poke, poke, poke. A is high thrust. Poke, poke, poke. And that's mid thrust. Another thing you can do is you can guard dash, forward dash with X. And then you hit X again, and you'll get a little shield slam. I like that attack a lot. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's decent for the KO. Your base wire bug is Twin Vine. We talked about this in the previous video, but you use Twin Vine, and after that, you hit ZL and B, and you'll do a jump. And if you press A or X, you'll do the jumping thrust. And if you hit ZL and guard, you'll go into your dash attack. And that will change depending on the switch skill used that takes over your dash attack. For example, right now this one is our dash attack, but when we have the shield rush as the dash attack, that's what we'll do instead. I'll put that on real quick so you can see it. Alright. This is what the shield charge looks like. Doesn't hit as hard, but that's KO damage right there. And it's fun. Alright, so if you use the close jump again and you press it, now it's a shield bash. You wouldn't expect it to be different, but it's just something you also don't really expect to see. So that's why I made the little video. It kind of caught me by surprise. So you jump, bam, bam. Now you've been seeing me jump off the mount. Yeah. You've been seeing me jump off the monster and kind of bounce off of it. But what you can do is you can press it before you get there if you feel safer that way. And you won't have that bounce. I prefer having the little bounce. Lets you position a little bit. Bounce. But the situation will always determine, you know, what you should and shouldn't do. All right, for your attacks, and one of the last ones that got changed is the sweep. The move itself didn't get changed, but the damage has been improved. So all you do is hold X and A, charges up, and you get a big sweep. Now, a lot of people wonder, what is the best Some people may be wondering, what's the best damage combo, like you got a monster down. From my understanding, the high thrust does more damage than the low thrust. Not much, but if you're one of those people, you know, that is like, oh, okay, well, I want to do the most at all times, that's fine. When a monster's knocked down, sometimes you'll high thrust right over it. So don't worry. I mean, 19 damage versus 21 damage versus 0 damage. You're going to have to make the choice, obviously. Okay, so the best damage combo, from what I understand, is charge sweep, high thrust, charge sweep full. It's not often you'll get it, but it does seem like the most raw damage combo at a basic level. Some people might be like, oh, well, if you charge in and do this, this, this. We're just operating on that rule of three, well, you know, what you're allowed to do. So it's charge, sweep, hit, charge, sweep. It's me from the future. There's one move I forgot in the offense that's really important for, from what I understand, status ailments, and just, I like it a lot for movement. If you have your guard up and you press your shield guard dash, which is with X, if you followed it up with A, you'll do a leaping thrust. I don't know how I missed out on this. I am now having to turn on my goddamn Nintendo and record this for the 10,000th time. But other than that, that it's a good movement thing. I used to use it a lot to help me get out of trouble. So if I like run, oh no, it gives like a little bit of movement and it doesn't kill off like your dodges. That is the base of your offense, really. Now, defense, again, is going to have a little bit more to it, and I will get on that in a moment. All right, defense is interesting because as you saw with offense, I think every game is like this, or not. I think every weapon's like this, but with Lance, obviously, they're going to meld together very closely. You do your 3 attacks. After that, you're stuck in you're in an animation lock. To get out of that animation lock, you need to either jump back or do a shield guard dash. Whatever you find is better is up to you. When I have a monster down on the ropes and it's been knocked down and maybe I don't have a lot of blunt people, I'll hit them with what I'll do is I'll go bam, 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 and give it one of those. Or maybe, but that's going to just depend on what you're using for the switch skill. But after your 3 attacks, you're going to want to dodge, and that can reset the combo. 1, 2, 3, dodge. 1, 2, 3, dodge. And that ideally will let you keep going. Another way you could reset the combo is 1, 2, counter thrust, or cancel thrust, I guess it's called, which is ZR and A. So you press 1, 2, 3, ZRA, 1, 2, 3, ZRA, 1, 2, 3. You see how it kind of changes it? It doesn't seem like it's a stab, but it still counts as one. So it's 1, 2. That's not right. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? And then you're at the end. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then you're in that animation cancel unless you keep power guarding. The power guard combo is fairly safe. It lets you, if you're maybe unsure, the monster's getting up or something, it puts you in a position where you'll get a little counter thrust if you press it like that. And if you hold it, instead of just tapping it, you're going to be stuck in this position, like this. And if you want to block a super heavy attack, you're going to press ZRA and then B. And the power guard drains stamina. And what that lets you do is absorb some of the bigger hits in the game. With the power guard, one thing you can do as well, which is very beneficial, is as you can see, I'm in power guard and I can move around. You can adjust it a little bit, but obviously it takes a bit of stamina. That comes as 2 uses. Maybe I swung on the monster, he was here, 1, 2, 3. I can't turn 1, 2 without ending the combo, or 1, 2, jumping back, turning, right? So if you go into power guard, I go 1, 2, I can press the stick any direction after the power guard, and I can thrust in that way. So it's very helpful if maybe the monster just adjusts and you're like, oh, I need to aim this way, or I'm going this way, right? Boop, boop. Turn it around. When it comes to moving around on the Lance, it's pretty simple. Again, rule of 3. 1, 2, 3, and now it's at the end. The cooldown's a little bit less than the offensive one, but you can still see there's a stutter there, right? 3 stops. Harder to tell when I just run out of stamina mid. What you can do though on your back dodges is if you press back and jump, you'll get an extra boost. Pick up. And that makes it so you can get a little bit further out there. But maybe forward and backwards just isn't going to do it for you, right? Maybe you're like, I don't want to do that. You can dodge to the left and right and keep in like a strafing fashion. However, You do need to start with a forward or back dodge if you want to strafe with your dodges. So you go forward, left, and you're good. Forward, right, right, and you're good. You can't just outright start in front of the monster and dodge left. You'll face that way. So if you want to keep facing wherever the monster is, which is right in front of us, you'll go forward, left. Your dodges, again, are in the rule of 3. One thing I like to do with my dodges, personal preference again, is if I need to cover ground, I can go 1, 2, 3, dash, and that counts as a dodge. Even though it's a dodge, it doesn't kill off the chain using your guard dash. So it breaks the rule of 3 because it's considered offensive. So you're 1, right? So you go 1, 1, 2, 3, dash. You can swing. 1, 2, 3, dash. You can swing. So you're seeing how you can kind of weave around monsters now. 1, 2, 3, dash. 1, 3, dash, 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 forward. You're only kind of limited by your knowledge of the movement, but the movement's simple, but it's just like anything else in this game, kind of remembering how to string it together. But yeah, that's your only way of strafing. Now the blocks, we're gonna have to change the monster man. So let's do this. All right, so I've put on Insta Block, which I'm a fan of. Insta Block, I feel like kind of needs its own little caveat on how it works. The reason for that is Insta Block makes your combos feel weird. I'm used to unsheathing, don't do that. I'm used to unsheathing the lance with the just pressing shield, but this really stops you in your tracks now, with the benefit though of giving you offense if you get a perfect block. That's not a perfect block. There's that. But what Insta Block will do for you is if this thing comes down, it gives you that cross sweep if you block perfectly. I feel like Insta Block really matches up with offensive guard. You get that short block timer window, and you get the buff for blocking late, which Insta Block really incentivizes you to do. And if you miss the Insta Block, the offensive guard is more likely to proc as long as your timing is somewhat good. So let me try to just get the power guard with the, or the what's the angry guard. Whatever. So that's how this one looks. Now, if I was in the middle of my combo and I would boop, that's your counter thrust. Hang on, let's see if we can get a good counter thrust. 1, 2, fuck. 1, 2. There you go. And that's what a counter thrust would look like. 1, 2. It's always going to release the lance if you get the block. So even if you just do the cancel, I mean, you won't have the luxury, but if you think you're going to get hit, you might as well just go into the guard. So you go 1, 2, 3. All right, so this section here, I'm going to talk about how Insta Block kind of changes how you want to do things. Normally when I charge, I put the shield out in front of me first, and then I go, because the shield comes out really quick. Insta Block keeps you in the spot. Insta Block can kind of mess up your timing a little bit with how you charge at things, so here's something you really need to get used to. If your weapon is currently drawn, you need to, instead of getting the shield out and then pressing shield charge, you need to just press them all at the same time, right? Because if I press Insta Block and then charge, as you can see, that takes a while. But if I just press, I'll just take off. It's a weird little thing, but it's something you really need to get used to, because you'll waste time being used to pressing the shield out first and then charging, right? It can feel kind of bad. So instead, you press it all at the same time, and you're good. And you get stomped on because you don't block. Side note, I do believe if you are going to be using the shield charge, you need to stick monsters with the kunai. I know a lot of people feel like this kunai ability isn't any good, especially in multiplayer. I think it's one of the best chase tools you're gonna get. It's the only way that I have found that I can reliably... It's the way I found that I can reliably go after a monster while it runs around the map. Single player hunts, I don't really account for, nor do I think, you know, it's a good judgment of if you're gonna like a weapon in single player. Most weapons will work out well for you in single player. Multiplayer, it turns a little different. The monsters are more erratic, they're more tanky, they're harder to get around you. The one thing I will also say about the kunai, which I know we're supposed to be talking about defense, I don't think it taunts. It says it's supposed to taunt the monster. I haven't felt it. There are stats that help with taunting the monster, and maybe that would be best with the kunai, but I haven't gotten to experience it, so I can't talk about it. All right, I think I meandered, and I've probably forgot some things. This is the 4th attempt, and I figured it would go better talking this way, but I think I'm doing worse. However, the other time I recorded it, I was afraid the audio going back. Blah, 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 blah. You don't care. One more thing. I have not gotten my gem for flinch free. I feel like flinch free is one of the most important gems you can get multiplayer, especially if you're just, you know, running off join requests that are just with random people. So if you can get flinch free, it is paramount. All right, that's it. Let's get in there. Also, here's a hot take for you. If you play with the bamboo toy, as you see, normally it just flops on the table and makes you a sad boy. But what you can do, and I'm 100% on this, I can't believe I figured this out, rotate your left stick clockwise, and the bamboo toy will always go. And you got to keep going. You got to keep rotating it until your character's like, oh, victory. If you don't do it, look at her, she's still watching. There it is.